Hanging tough on that outside line. We saw that work last night for guys like Christopher Bell and Tyler Reddick early in that Xfinity Series race. You see a couple drivers as they go 3 wide coming out of turn 2. Harvick with a good run coming out of turn 4, right up on the back bumper of the 14 of Clint Bowyer. Now he's going to go to the inside, and you've got a spin. Denny Hamlin on the front stretch through the grass. Denny Hamlin right past the start-finish line, one of the 4 playoff drivers above the cut entering today. Spins coming out of turn 4, damage to the front end of that FedEx Toyota for Denny Hamlin, another playoff driver with some issues here during the AAA Texas 500. And right now, it just looks like the 4 of Harvick is much better on entry. That's why you see him able to distance himself a little bit there. But on exit, that's when the 20 has gotten its run throughout the course of the last couple of laps. You'll see the 20 here potentially coming out of turn 4, maybe with another run to try and pass the 4. But now you see Kevin Harvick with some clean air taking advantage. Jimmie Johnson's had a couple good runs. That last time by, he was 8th quickest. Now he's up to 6th and challenging for 5th. He's had a couple runs over the last few laps that has allowed the 48 to really become a contender up in the top 6, going to try and get into the top 5 with Hamlin out in front. Kurt Busch and Jimmie Johnson, couple savvy veterans, staying within striking distance, 6th and 7th respectively at the moment as we cross the start-finish line. Now Jimmie Johnson making a run 3 wide with Kurt Busch hitting the grass at the bottom of the runway.
Boy, we have seen that 2 Cup races in a row with a driver going through the grass, and both times it's been a Busch brother. Kyle did it back in the spring. Now Kurt Busch, he did not make a pass in the grass unlike his brother did. Kurt, though, hanging on the inside of Jimmie Johnson as they go down the backstretch and into turn 3.
You think Jimmie Johnson wants to find Sunoco victory lane again? That was a crafty move from the 48 car and forced the 1 all the way into the grass, and it is going to be Jimmie Johnson, at least this time by, taking that spot away from Kurt Busch up into the 6th position. A little bit further back in the pack, right around that 10th spot. That last time by, Ryan Preece got loose, had to go up the racetrack and went right into the grill of Clint Bowyer, backing the 14 of Bowyer all the way back into the 11th spot. So jumbledness, and now 3 wide on the front stretch between Blaney, DiBenedetto, and Bowyer as they cross the start-finish line. Some side-by-side racing back of the pack as you look at the battle for the lead, continuing with Eric Almirola sliding up the track, blocking Kurt Busch, who sits in 3rd. Byron slamming the door, goes all the way down to that white line. Now Kurt Busch looking to the high side of Jimmie Johnson, still battling for that 3rd spot. And now he goes to the inside. Johnson slams the door on the front stretch.
Kurt Busch going around the outside of Jimmie Johnson. Can he make it hang? Yeah, Jimmie really lost it. Jimmie is spinning off of turn 2. Can Johnson keep it out of the wall? No, he can't.
All 40 cars rolling off of pit road. There's the onboard camera of our pole sitter, Kevin Harvick, in that Busch Beer and Ducks Unlimited Ford. He'll lead the way to the green flag coming in the next couple of moments. 334 laps around Texas Motor Speedway today during the 2019 AAA Texas 500. Stage 1. 85 laps, then another 85 getting us to the end of stage 2 where the green-white checkered will reset for stage 3. And then it's a race to the checkered flag and potentially playoff drivers with an opportunity to lock up a spot in the Championship 4 at Homestead Miami Speedway. The only driver to lock himself in so far, Martin Truex Jr. after last week. There you see on Big Haas TV, Kyle Larson, one of our 8 playoff drivers, currently sitting in 7th in the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series standings. And despite the red and yellow all over that Chevrolet Camaro, you see the green front, the green on the windshield, and the green on the back of that Chevrolet. That's where you can tell which of those drivers are still in the playoff hunt. There's quite a few of those playoff drivers right up at the front of the pack to start today's race in the AAA Texas 500, but there's a good look of how you can pick those out from the rest of the field when the green flag drops today here at Texas Motor Speedway. Now that the field is kind of spread out a little bit, you can go back and look at Martin Truex Jr. That last time by in 19th. He started 17th. He dropped like a rock, at least got loose going into turn 1 on the initial start of the race. As soon as the green flag dropped, you saw the 19 drop as well. Chase Elliott right back behind that group of cars as well, looking for an opportunity and a window to try and get through there. But it's Bowman on the outside, Kurt Busch underneath as they go down the back stretch coming out of turn 2. And a good run for Busch heading into 3.
Yeah, Kyle Busch, by the way, on the bottom there. will take a spot away, moving forward to Chase Elliott, looking to come with him in that number 9 Chevrolet as they go around Alex Bowman. Kyle Larson going to pull right up behind Chase Elliott, trying to move ahead as well.
Looks like early on here, Kyle Larson has a really quick car. You saw the onboard for a split second there on Big Hoss TV, but that McDonald Chevrolet has been cruising through the field. There you see a battle between Daniel Suarez and Denny Hamlin. That's for the 5th spot. And you saw Austin Dillon a couple spots right back behind Truex in his pit stall. Take 2 right side tires only and a splash of fuel for the number 3 car, who had actually been running pretty well over the last couple of laps. Did not qualify well, was back in 21st when the original green flag dropped. However, he was able to climb all the way back up into 18th before he pitted. Right back behind those teammates, you've got the 17 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr., who's been quick all week. He's now found his way into the top 5, going side by side with Denny Hamlin as they cross the start-finish line.
Pretty close quarters there for Almirola and Suarez. Nosing ahead, Stenhouse hanging tough on the outside. Jimmy Johnson right there on the scene as well behind Denny Hamlin.
And Johnson's just waiting for one of those drivers to have a little bit of an opening. Hamlin almost had to go down into the ball field there. Stenhouse inching down to the bottom side of the track. There's an aerial view up on Big Hoss TV of that battle for the 4th spot.
Hamlin now has the 4th position. Stenhouse in 5th, Johnson 6th, Kurt Busch in 7th.
Jimmy Johnson, who was on the pole in our spring race, had a great top 5 finish in that one. There you see the telemetry thanks to Grande Communications. He's still a couple seconds behind Kevin Harvick up in the top of the leaderboard at the moment, but sitting in 6th for Jimmy Johnson. It's about to be 7 because there goes Kurt Busch on the inside of the 48.
Kevin Harvick remains your leader here in the AAA Texas 500. He has led 34 of the 37 laps that have been run so far this afternoon.
Now a little bit further back in the pack, Clint Boyer coming off of turn 4 was right behind the 43 of Bubba Wallace and had a massive run on the inside, and it looked like the 14 might have made a little bit of contact with the 43 of Wallace coming out of turn 4, but able to bounce to the inside and then drive away. So Clint Boyer continuing to move his way up the leaderboard as you see a battle on Big Hoss TV. There's Daniel Suarez, Denny Hamlin, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Stenhouse Jr. making a run to the inside. That's a battle for 4th.
Stenhouse has been really strong today.
With just 17 laps to go here in stage 1. There you see the onboard of Kevin Harvick coming out of turn 2. And since then, the 14's opened things up a little bit. That last time by, more than a half a second ahead of his teammate in Kevin Harvick. Clint Boyer continuing to run strong times here at Texas Motor Speedway. Martin Truex Jr. has settled into that 3rd spot. And you mentioned Paul Menard a little bit ago. He's now dropped back into the 7th position. And that is where he sits at the moment. That shows how good those 2 cars are. The 4 of Kevin Harvick to be able to get around Kyle Busch. And then on the outside of Kurt Busch goes the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. Also kind of up in the mix now, the 88 of Alex Bowman coming out of nowhere. As you see a couple drivers on Big Hoss TV side by side. There's the onboard for Joey Logano a little bit further back. But 6 to go, Clint Boyer continuing the lead stage 1. And Kevin Harvick closing in now within about 3 car lengths heading into turns 3 and 4.
It looks like he just gets a little loose in that middle groove and spins coming onto the front stretch and then goes through the ball field. Now, he did not hit the wall, I don't believe, but I think, oh, yeah, right there. He bottomed out right as he came across the quarter mile from the first section of the ball field.
The winner back in March here at Texas Motor Speedway just lost that back end, and with these cooler temperatures, those rear tires lose grip quite a bit. We talked about it a little bit last night in the Xfinity Series, but, man, lots of damage going through the ball field, digging a rut right there on the quarter mile, and that is going to be a tough break for Denny Hamlin.
Here you see that front splitter damage.
You're out in front of the 12 of Ryan Blaney, and then Kevin Harvick, who's now backed up a little bit. Ryan Newman sitting in the 11th spot. Blaney in 12th, matching the side of his car. And then there's the 4 of Kevin Harvick, who continues to climb up the leaderboard. Peeking to the inside. 2 playoff drivers at the moment. 2 of the drivers in the playoffs that have not had issues today. Seems like every other driver that's still in the final 8, and there's close to contact in the onboard on Big Haas TV, and now Harvick goes to the inside. Blaney gets a little loose in turn one, slides up the track.
Yeah, he had to check up there with Ryan Newman in front of him, and then Kevin Harvick had gone underneath him, so Harvick's going to take away the position.
Way off pit road, but now you're starting to see some of the mixture between those guys who pitted just before the stage break and during the stage break. There's Kurt Busch, who was scored as the leader. He's now coming down pit road, which puts Kyle Busch in the 18 car in the lead, but he's got a pit in the coming moments as well. He was one of those cars that did pit during the stage caution, and so with that being said, the 18 car should go a couple more laps without going down Procore pit road. Kyle Larson looking to the inside of Jimmy Johnson. At the moment, that's a battle for fifth. However, both of those cars have already gone through their green flag pit stops, so should Kyle Larson overtake the 48, as there's Daniel Suarez again peeking to the inside of Kyle Busch. But once again, in that last battle, if Larson passes Johnson, then all of a sudden Larson might be in that third spot whenever these green flag stops come to a close.
Even with the fresher tires, Suarez cannot complete a pass of Kyle Busch right now. He has been on the bottom side a couple of times. Busch hanging tough on the outside.
That's a scary sign for all drivers, seeing that Kyle Busch's car with some older tires running as well as it has been.
And that's just in an effort to unlap himself for Suarez, incidentally.
William Byron's been the quicker car out of the front three throughout the latter parts here of this race. He ran his quickest lap of the race during stage 2, whereas both Suarez, Johnson, and then even Jones behind him had their best lap in stage 1 of the race. Also, these top 3 drivers have had success here at Texas Motor Speedway this year. All 3 qualified in the top 4 back in March's race for the O'Reilly Auto Parts 500. Now, the race didn't turn out for a couple of those drivers, including William Byron, even though both Johnson and Suarez had top 5s back in the spring. You see the 48 down on pit road. Of course, that 6-minute window of opportunity to fix damage. They should stay on the lead lap here. Of course, like we talked about, not a ton of damage to the right side of that 48, but you can still see it just over that wheel well on the back side of the car.
Yeah, I don't think the 6 minutes really going to come into play for them. If Chase Elliott didn't run out of time, they won't run out of time. They don't have nearly the damage to the car. They've pulled the fenders off. They're going to make sure that right rear fender is clear of the tire to avoid a tire rub.
This is where those new tires could play a factor for Kurt Busch, who definitely made a stop more recently than the 41 of Suarez did. It's also got a couple cars back. Eric Jones in that 20 car, kind of lingering back behind William Byron, looking for his opportunity to try and make a move.
Kyle Larson to the inside of Austin Dillon. Those two.
That number 4 car to have some say before this one is over with. Kevin Harvick underneath the 47 of Ryan Preece heading into turn 1. Now he's about to make a run on the 21 of Paul Menard. That would put Kevin Harvick into the 11th spot. He's gained 3 spots since the last time we talked about him about 2 laps ago. Here he is at the start-finish line, peeking to the inside of Menard. That's for 11th. He should be able to get a run here going into turn 1, and he does. Up on Big Haas TV, that's the top 3 drivers, led by Eric Almirola. Then you've got Daniel Suarez continuing to fend off the long charging of Kurt Busch. Busch had another run in between 1 and 2 where he's been better on the racetrack today. However, Suarez has just been better on the straightaways, and that time able to shut the door again. Fastest 2 cars on the racetrack the last time by. That man right there, Eric Almirola, leading the race. The only car quicker than the 10. The number 4 of Kevin Harvick, who's all the way up into 11th and hard charging. So you can see the 88 of Alex Bowman out in front of him. There's a backside look from Daniel Suarez as Kurt Busch gets really loose in between turns 3 and 4 and has to go up the racetrack, and it opens the door for William Byron, who's going to pass him with ease here on the front stretch.
Yeah, Byron going to easily take the 3rd position away.
Looked like the rear tires of Kurt Busch lost a lot of grip in that last corner. Because of that, Busch didn't want to repeat what a couple other drivers have seen today, like Brad Keselowski and Ricky Stenhouse Jr., even Denny Hamlin as well, having troubles coming out of turn 4. Because of that, he had to check up hard, and it allowed William Byron to get underneath. At the top 2 playoff contenders in the field, right there on Big Haas TV, Kyle Larson, Joey Logano, then right behind them, Kyle Busch. a trio of playoff drivers. That's the 6th through the 8th position. And we were seeing some in-car looks from Joey Logano, who looked like he had a couple runs, just about 0.4 of a second back from the 42 of Kyle Larson. But since then, Larson's been able to stretch that advantage out over the 22 car. Looking at some of the live standings overall, Kyle Busch currently in the 2nd spot standings-wise. Joey Logano just 4 points back, and then Kevin Harvick. Those are the 3 drivers above the cut line in the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series playoffs, but only 3 points separating Kyle Larson and Denny Hamlin, who are back just a couple from Kevin Harvick. Only a total of 30 points separating Kyle Busch to Ryan Blaney. That's the 2nd through the 7th drivers in the standings right now. Kevin Harvick making the pass on Alex Bowman, a guy who he'd kind of struggled to get around for a little bit. It seemed like the 88 was out in front of the 4 for the last 20 laps or so, but Kevin Harvick able to get around him, and now following 4 non-playoff drivers at the top of the field, you've got 4 playoff drivers right back behind: Kyle Larson, Joey Logano, Kyle Busch, and then Kevin Harvick in those 5th through 8th spots. That's going to play a huge factor because all of those drivers, all 4 of them, have not locked themselves into that race at Homestead in a couple of weeks in the Championship 4.
Now, only one guy's done that. He's not run very well today. Mark Truex Jr., 16th this afternoon, but he all right. He'll be racing for the championship in 2 weeks. He knows that.
There you see Logano up on Big Hoss TV, being chased down by the 18 of Kyle Busch. That's a battle for the 6th spot. Kyle Busch had a really nice lap time last time by one of the quicker cars on the track, and he gained about a half a second on Joey Logano, but now Logano stretched that back out over the last couple of moments. That car has been so quick all weekend for Kevin Harvick. He thought he might have had an opportunity, but a veteran move to lay back for a split second because the 10 car went all the way down to that lower lane. Harvick didn't want to risk anything going into 1 and 2.
Harvick closing the gap on the backstretch at the entrance of 3. He is less than half a car length behind his teammate Eric Almirola.
You can see the distance these two have put on their other teammate in Daniel Suarez. My goodness, the push from the 4 of Kevin Harvick on 4 fresh tires and a couple cans of fuel, just launching the 10 of Eric Almirola all the way down the backstretch.
And Almirola hanging on right now to the lead. Harvick again closing within less than a car length on the entrance to turn 3. Harvick much better here on the entrance to 3. He'll go below this time, looking for the lead from Eric Almirola. Kevin Harvick taking it away off of turn 4. He will take the lead here with 79 laps to go.
Almirola not done yet. Stayed to the outside, stays true to that middle line. Now goes high on Kevin Harvick. Had a better run going into 1 and really throughout the entirety of that front stretch. Now on the backside, these 2 teammates duking it out. Nobody giving an inch.
Kevin Harvick on the bottom side. Now he clears Eric Almirola in turn 3. He'll wash up the track. Almirola looks to the inside. He'll settle in behind, and Kevin Harvick will hang on to the lead with 78 laps remaining. A battle for first you're seeing on Big Hoss TV, and your new leader is Kevin Harvick, brought to you by U.S. Concrete. And Kevin Harvick trying to win his 3rd consecutive playoff race in No Limits, Texas.
As you see Ryan Blaney up on Big Hoss TV getting way loose coming out of turn 4. Able to keep it off the wall. And a little bit later getting hung up by some lap traffic as well.
He knows it's J.J. Yaley out of the way after that.
It's tough to see how he couldn't see J.J. Yaley out in front of him with that tie-dye paint scheme.
Kevin Harvick now coming down pit road. Pits from the lead with 27 to go.
That's a long way down pit road for the 4 car. He's built up that lead. Now as he slides into that pit stall, gas and go. He doesn't need a ton of it with just 27 to go. May only just need that 1 can.
He'll do a little bit of a track bar adjustment on the left side too for Harvick, and he is off and away.
He mentioned it earlier, that 6 car.
It's a tough one.
It probably looks like it's 3 lanes wide for Kevin Harvick. Even with lap traffic coming up, Harvick's going to have to check up a little bit. Now he's built himself a little bit of cushion. Almost 4 seconds that last time by. So it's not anything urgent for the 4.
Took a look again to the inside, but Newman's going to hang on. They had to work around the lap car of Landon Castle first.
There's no reason to really press the issue here if you're Kevin Harvick. Newman not necessarily a car that's off the pace. Car still on the lead lap, and somebody that you can kind of stick behind. No need to try and push it underneath and maybe take some of the air off of that car. And
Harvick, the champion, the first year that we had the elimination format of the playoffs back in 2014. He's been to that championship four other times and unable to complete a championship run, but he's going to have another shot at completing a championship run this time around. Once again, going to Sunoco victory lane, it's going to be Kevin Harvick winning the AAA Texas 500.